end of the regime that has been in Iran for so many years, terrorizing its own people in the region.
Forgive me. Sorry, it's not the end of the regime. We've just seen the son of the hardline leader who was assassinated.
I said it was the beginning. It's the beginning of the end of the regime. That. And this is actually putting an end to the war rather than starting a new war.
Congressman, that sounds to me like sophistry. Like, you know, yes, Iran is an unpleasant, hostile regime.
Guys, this is most definitely a good one. In this clip, we're going to see the brilliant Victoria Derbyshire, as well as a right-of-centre Republican just completely shut down, embarrass and humiliate this Donald Trump MAGA Republican. This is a very interesting clip. As usual, I'm going to save my perspective, my thoughts to the very end, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight in.
First, let's go live straight away to Florida and Republican Congressman Marlin Stutzman, who's just been in the room with the US leader. Congressman, thank you very much for talking to our audience around the world. I really hope you can help us out. Is the war over or not? What did Donald Trump tell you?
Good evening, Victoria. Thanks for having me. But no, you know, the president is in very good spirits, very energetic, and is very pleased that the schedule is on target, dealing with Iran. Of course, there's much more work to do. There's, you know, of course, still enemies there within the country that have to be eliminated. And the president is so determined that this is going to be, you know, it's the end of the regime that has been in Iran for so many years, terrorizing its own people in the region.
Forgive me. Sorry, it's not the end of the regime. We've just seen the son of the hardline leader who was assassinated.
I said it was the beginning. It's the beginning of the end of the regime.
Oh, right, is it? But can I just check with you? Donald Trump told CBS tonight, I think the war is complete, pretty much over. Then he said, we took a little excursion because we had to get rid of some people. Then he, as you heard, he spoke to a reporter and said, it could be days, it could be this week. I mean, is it going to be over this week? Is that what you're saying? Or just the US's war on Iran?
Well, you know, I mean, it's really up to the president. You know, the operations are going very well. We have destroyed over 40 of the ships that Iran has had. We've destroyed their ability to manufacture drones for the most part. There's a lot of success that has already happened in a short amount of time. The American military is tremendous. It is the greatest military in the world, and President Trump gave them the authority to go in and destroy the enemy in Iran. And so this is it's going to be up to the president and, of course, to the Department of War and the Secretary of War on when, you know, they believe that the mission has been accomplished. But of course, you know what? As long as this regime continues to try to hold power, I think they're going to make a huge mistake, and they should choose otherwise.
Right. I mean, you talked about success. Obviously, the oil price has surged today. We've all seen that. We can see that Iran is still firing missiles right across the Gulf. You probably wouldn't be able to guarantee that Iran's nuclear program is completely halted, and the son of the supreme leader has taken over. So is that on the way to success?
Yeah, it is on the way to success. I mean, you know, for the supreme leader's son to take over, I think that he's going to find out very quickly he doesn't have much to take over. And, you know, the United States and Israel and any other allies that want to join are going to be willing to make that happen, because Iran has been a thorn in the Middle East side. It's been a thorn in Europe's side. It's been a thorn in so many of our sides over the last 40 years. Their threat of nuclear capability and their just outright desire to build a nuclear bomb has brought us to this point. They have shown over and over they cannot be trusted. And I believe that this is the moment that we have to all be in together. If we have a regime change in Iran, the Middle East will look very different. Europe will have the ability to breathe better, and all of us will. It's a good change that the world needs.
Okay. I didn't think this was a regime change style of war, according to your Secretary of State for War. I'll bring in one of my guests here, if I may, Sohrab Ahmari. What do you think is going on? When you hear the different comments tonight from Donald Trump, what do you think?
I think this was an ill-considered decision, possibly a calamitous one, not just for the presidency, but for American power and prestige going forward.
To go to war in the first place.
To go to war in the first place. And the proof is in just what you just pointed out, the fact that the president and various cabinet members are having such a hard time articulating a clear goal. What is it? Is it regime change, which was the initial pledge, right? We said we were going to put Iran back in the hands of its people and so on. And Congressman just repeated that as well. Is it denuclearization? Is it degrading its military conventional capacities, which is what Secretary Hegseth said? The fact that the goalpost keeps shifting and widening and narrowing suggests to me that this was not fully thought through. And look, as someone who's of the right, I thought we were supporting populism, we were supporting Trump because President Trump said in 2016 that the Iraq war was a disaster. In 2020 said we wasted trillions of dollars on wars in the Middle East when we could have built hospitals and roads in the homeland. So
you voted for Donald Trump. On Victory Night in November 2024, he said, I'm not going to start a war, I'm going to stop war. So how do you feel about the fact that he's done this?
Well, it's jarring. You cannot tell voters. I know that the group that's called Maga Republicans is the one that's most supportive of this, but Maga Republicans will pretty much go with anything the president says. But Maga Republicans are not the entirety of the Republican coalition right now. You also have half of Hispanic men. You have a fifth of African American men. You have lots of working class Obama to Trump voters, people who voted for Barack Obama twice and then switched to Trump. And these are the types of voters who didn't want a regime change war in the Middle East. And if they are scratching their heads thinking, wait, why are we doing this freedom agenda type stuff in the Middle East again? They have a point. Victoria.
Congressman, how do you respond to
I disagree with that. This is the end of a war. We have to realize that Iran has been at war with the United States and the West for 40-some years. 600 Americans have died. I mean, their war started when the Ayatollah and the Supreme Leader took over back in 1979. They took hostages from America, and it was Ronald Reagan that took decisive action, took bold action. I think this is what a lot of people in Europe and other parts of the world don't really recognize, is that America is a strong country. We are a bold country. We're not going to be to let a country like Iran continue to threaten us as a country and to threaten our allies and our friends. This will make the world a much safer place. And President Trump, he did say that he's not going to start new wars, and I believe that. And this is actually putting an end to the war rather than starting a new war.
Congressman, that sounds to me like sophistry. Like, you know, yes, Iran is an unpleasant, hostile regime, but the question that the president had to ask himself is launching a full-on war that's more or less wiped out the entire U.S. base architecture in the Persian Gulf region the best way to deal with that? Are there other means short of a full-on regime change war? For example, continuing sanctions and diplomacy, or assassinations, all sorts of...
Yeah, we've tried that.
Well, no, but I'm saying, is there any other means besides a full-on war that has now made a lot of America's Arab partners think that having U.S. bases in the region is more of a liability than it is a source of security? I mean, that's why these matters are so grave, and we went in willy-nilly. What do you think is the goal of this operation? I ask you, is it regime change? Is it freedom for the Iranian people? Is it denuclearization? Pick one of those.
Yes, all of them. I would pick all of them. Well, we have all known that this regime has been a terrorist nation. They've been the leading state sponsor of terrorism for years and years. And look at what the Iranian people, how they're behaving. I mean, look at right now, the Iranian women's soccer team in Australia. I mean, they're fearful to go home for their own lives because of the regime that's in power. Look at the Iranian people that are celebrating across the United States and other parts of the world because the Ayatollah is dead. This is actually everything that you pointed to, I believe, is what we have to accomplish at this point. President Trump is one of the strongest diplomats, strongest negotiators that America has had since Ronald Reagan. And he gave the Iranian regime plenty of opportunities to stop their nuclear program, to come to the table to negotiate. They like, President Barack Obama or Joe Biden types who will just, go along to get along. And they just continue to build out their nuclear program. And if they would have gotten a nuclear bomb, they would have been able to leverage Europe. Okay. They would have been able to, of course, leverage the Middle East and, of course, America ultimately.
So, Congressman, you won't outdo me in disliking the Iranian regime. I was born there and grew up there before I left, in part because, or largely because, it's such an unpleasant regime. However, as an American, I recognize that what every military expert says, which is you cannot do a full regime change with air power alone. Rather, we will need, as Americans, to deploy a lot of troops if we really want regime change in Iran. Hundreds of thousands of ground troops potentially. And that is a no-starter for a lot of American people as a matter of, is this worth it? For those of us who thought the future challenges in the United States lie in East Asia and China, this is a waste of munitions and of potentially of lives and treasure. So how are you going to do regime change? How are we going to do regime change without ground troops when we've never been able to do that without ground troops?
Yeah, well, a lot of that's going to be based on the intelligence, and after the assessments are made on the situation in Iran, there's obviously still a lot of propaganda that's coming out of Tehran by the regime, but I think the facts on the ground are what's going to decide, and the president and the Secretary of War will make that decision on what's the proper steps going forward.
Okay.
There's already other allies that are willing to help, and he's already said that the Kurds are not going to be the ones to go into Tehran because he wants to protect them. So I think that's a very wise decision on the
before you go, Congressman,
part.
Can you do regime change from the air? Yes or no?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We really appreciate it.
So the thing for me that's quite frustrating is this. Donald Trump can do no wrong. Donald Trump can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and you're going to have bootlickers like the congressman that are going to come out and they're going to defend every single aspect of what he does. Now, the gentleman on the left, you would have heard that he said, Victoria Derbyshire said that he is center to right, center of the right. So he voted for Donald Trump. He is a Republican. But even he's taking a look and he's took a stand against what it is that Donald Trump has done here. And the reason as to why is because it's very simple, it's very straightforward, and it's not hard to be able to break down in any way, shape or form. This is not what Donald Trump promised his voters. It's not. And anybody that will try and stand there and act like it is what Donald Trump promised his voters, they're telling you a lie. And that's the reason as to why it's so frustrating when you see congressmen like this individual that will come on the screen and they will stand in front of you and they will try and act and try and persuade you that what Donald Trump is doing is right and it is the right way to go about doing things. Listen, regardless of whatever it is that anybody wants to say, nobody is going to sit here and say the Iran regime are good people. No one's going to say that. But you still have to go about things in a certain type and a particular type of way. And the fact that Donald Trump promised his base no new wars, the fact that Donald Trump has a history of tweets going after and trying to insinuate something in regards to President Barack Obama, that he is going to do something in regards to Iran, the fact he has all of those things, but yet still he is here doing the exact same thing that he tried to criticize President Barack Obama for. It just highlights Donald Trump's hypocrisy. And it shouldn't be a surprise to absolutely any of us. First and foremost, props, as always, to Victoria Derbyshire for pushing back when it comes to the lies and cutting him off. I'm glad she done that. And then secondly, props to the Republican that we can see on the left-hand side of the screen right now as well for stepping up and not allowing him to spread his propaganda and his Donald Trump BS. Because this is what's more of what's needed. More, the second gentleman that we can see on the screen right now. More Republicans need to stand up and take a step out and literally condemn what Donald Trump is doing, because it makes absolutely no sense. Tupac Shakur says it. They've got money for wars, but they don't want to feed the poor. America, as well as Britain, we are countries that were once great that are literally on our knees right now. Some of our own people, our citizens, are struggling. They cannot put food on the table. They're struggling and they're going to food banks and food cupboards to try and feed their children. And when the government can help, they choose not to. Republicans were so hell-bent on trying to take away people's healthcare from them. But now turn around, fast forward. Now Donald Trump has enough money to wage a war that's costing the American taxpayers $1 billion every single day. Not only that, this war is now spreading into other countries. It's spreading into other countries. My country right now, we're seeing the price of what we call in the UK. You guys call it gas. We call it petrol and diesel. The price is rising. More Republicans need to step up and don't be weak like this congressman we can see here on the right-hand side. But what I say to you guys, my American audience, this is what I say to you guys. Remember the names of the individuals who stood by while Donald Trump wreaked havoc on the United States of America and the rest of the world. Remember their names. Remember the things that they said, the things that they done. And remember that going into the midterms as well as 2028. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this exchange down in the comment section. And while you guys are down there, do me a video, hype the video so we can get it in front of as much more people. And then last but not least, give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next clip.